Welcome to Semester 2. Our listening experiences this semester will feature 3 different instrument categories. We'll first look at 5 different brass instruments, and then 5 different keyboard instruments, and follow up with 5 instruments from around the world that represent different ethnicities. We're going to start off looking at some brass instruments. You know most of these. The basic 4 here, the trumpet, horn, trombone, tuba. It's not really French. I don't know why they call it that, honestly. So the way a brass instrument works, any of them, the breath or their air is what generates the sound. Their lips buzz into the mouthpiece, which is what is vibrating. And then the instrument itself gives the vibration of the lips amplification. Those are the 3 basic things you need to make sound on anything. The first one we're going to look at is the cornet. Very much like a trumpet, played the same way, but it sounds slightly different. And the reason it sounds slightly different is that it is a conical bored instrument versus cylindrical. Think of a cone like an ice cream cone, where it's small on one end and bigger on the other end. So with a cornet, it starts small where the mouthpiece goes in, and each piece of tubing that goes through the instrument, you can see there with all the arrows, it gets gradually larger. And then when you get to the very last part of it where the bell is, we have what's called the bell flare. And all brass instruments have this. But the main reason it sounds different and kind of more mellow is that it has a conical bore. Cylindrical would be, like a pop can that is the same diameter on one end as it is on the other. Instruments like trombone or trumpet are cylindrical in nature. So the piece of music we're going to look at today is the Carnival of Venice. And this was a tune that comes from Venice, Italy, of course. The actual carnival started quite a while ago. They think around 1162 was the year that it started. I've been to Venice. It's pretty neat. You get to walk over all the cool bridges, and there's no cars. Everybody gets around either walking or on the little gondolas. And they push themselves through the water with these poles. It's kind of cool. The first person that was a notable cornet virtuoso, which was kind of a new instrument at the time, his name was Jean-Baptiste Arbin. And he was a French cornet player, ended up teaching at the Paris Conservatory. And his book, The Arbin Complete Conservatory Method for Cornet and Trumpet, is still to this day considered the standard by which all other method books are measured. An interesting thing why this became a thing, in the year 1838, there was actually a patent for piston valves. Like on a trumpet or a cornet, our tubas have these kind of valves. They were invented around 1814-15, but they weren't officially patented for another 20 years or so, 25 years, because they had to work out all the kinks and bugs. What it basically does is allow you to add an extra length of tubing to the instrument. And with a 3-valve instrument like cornet, there's only 7 valve combinations, but that gives you the ability to play a full chromatic scale from the lowest to the highest note. And it's easier to do in tune. The shape of the instrument, you can see, if you look back towards the end, right before the bell crook, we have this little dip there that comes out of the first valve and into the bell, and we call that the shepherd's crook. And that's for a short model traditional cornet. The one that I own has this. It's shaped just like it. And that's another thing to add, just a little bit more length to the horn. One of the most famous cornet soloists played for John Philip Sousa, and his name was Herbert L. Clark. He was the first chair cornet player, and he studied the Arbin method and perfected it, basically, and he ended up writing his own series of method books. There's one called the Clark Characteristic Studies and one called the Clark Technical Studies, and those two are also standard fare for anybody seriously studying trumpet or cornet. I've got copies of both of them on my music stand at home right now, in fact. So the tune Carnival of Venice, you hear it a lot in commercials and other things. One of the tunes that was based on it is a 20th century tune, but How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? If you listen to that tune, it's the same melody as the Carnival of Venice. Or My Hat Has Three Corners, that's another one. The soloist that we're going to hear today is perhaps the best cornet player to have ever lived. His name is Wynton Marsalis, and he is from New Orleans. His father was a famous jazz pianist, and he has since by far surpassed what his father did. His brother, Branford, is a famous saxophone player. He's got another brother named Delfeo, who is a famous drummer. But Wynton holds a couple records. He still holds the record for winning a Grammy Award for Best Whatever 5 years in a row. That's a long time to stay on top of any category. But he did that 5 years in a row. And not to be topped out, he holds another record too. He won Grammy Awards in 1983 and 84 back to back for Best Classical Recording and Best Jazz Recording. That is unparalleled. Nobody has ever done that again or since. For him to be at the absolute best in the world in two very different categories at the same time. That's pretty impressive. The video I have for us today is him playing with the Boston Pops Orchestra, and this is John Williams of Star Wars fame conducting. And let me show you this lovely little video. Make it full screen here.